Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to our webinar today. And our subject today we're going to talk about is domain names. And it's very important if I'm going to be using domain names, especially if I have a long URL, I'm going to be utilizing them with social media to direct people, or I'm going to connect a specific document, and I'm going to connect things to social media pages, whether or not I'm building a specific page or I need to basically utilize a short URL for something. So it's very important to have some general knowledge of individual domain names, how they work, where you can purchase them from. And so I want to talk about domain names specifically on this webinar today. And what I'm showing you here is a domain name company called GoDaddy. Now, I've used multiple types of individual companies to purchase domain names from. GoDaddy happens to be just one of them. And how you can basically come onto their overall site is I just simply went to GoDaddy.com. And when you go to their overall page, they offer lots of different types of services. And I've purchased from GoDaddy from many years, even when they first started, probably over 15 years ago. So they're a very stable company. They've been around for a long time from their standpoint. But there's lots of other good companies too. But one thing you want to be careful of is you want to make sure that whatever company that you're dealing with, that they can provide the services at the registrar level, because they are called the registrar. That's the company that you will actually buy your domain name from. You want to be able to make sure that they can provide all the different things that you need to basically do with your domain name, that they're going to be around, because if they leave you high and dry with your domain name and you cannot access, you cannot call them, you cannot do things, then you might be left out hanging in the wind with your business domain name. So it's very important, again, that you basically try to pick a larger company to be able to create or to be able to get your domain name from. And then you also need to basically try to think of, maybe is it worth it for me to basically pick a domain name from multiple companies? Am I going to consolidate? How many am I buying? How many am I going to basically keep? Am I going to basically re-up that individual domain name? Am I going to sell that domain name off later? All those things are going to come into play. Now, one reason why I like GoDaddy is because they also have a mechanism for you to basically sell your domain name, which they have a domain name marketplace. So if I want to basically sell it later, I can basically easily sell it through their marketplace that they've got. And again, there's just lots of things that I like about utilizing their service. I can also attach to that domain name. They have hosting services and virtual servers, and they have lots of other things that I can add on to it. Now, there's lots of other types of companies that offer those other same services. So again, I'm not here to bash any other sort of company that offers those same types of services, but just want to tell you that you just want to basically go out and shop and make sure that they've been around for a while, and make sure that you feel very comfortable that they're going to be able to give you the level of support and service that is comfortable for your individual company. Now, if I basically come in here that I've got and I search for a particular individual name that I've got for a domain name, and let's say I'm going to basically search for social media as an overall domain name here, and let's say I'm basically just going to type in social media. Now, social media is basically taken here, which is I would assume a very popular domain name that would already be taken by somebody. I can basically come in here and see who already owns that domain name. It will also tell me if there are other domain names that are not the .com, that would be maybe a .info, a .net, a .org, a .us, any of the other extensions of the domain name, if they were not purchased, it would basically tell me at that time. So I could basically buy those, buy the .net or buy the .co. I could basically buy any of those overall solutions at that individual time. I could go in there and buy those from the other individual company. I could do that if I wish from my side. And again, it's basically just going in. It's a matter of going in and looking at what the individual domain name that I'm after. Maybe I want to basically buy it. One technique that I've used is if I like a domain name, I would basically take the domain name that I have, look at it, and maybe I want to go in and put it into a URL and see if it's maybe for sale that way. And you notice that basically it was redirected to Living Social. So the person who bought that individual domain name basically was redirecting it to Living Social that I've got. So it was basically called a redirect, where you can take a domain name and forward it to any other domain name on the internet, which is basically utilized to, again, to shorten a domain name, to forward it to another company. And again, it's utilized in many, many, many different types of techniques and ways. So again, this has been utilized by this particular domain name. So other ways that you can basically, if I like a particular domain name, one of the techniques that I've used, which has been kind of a secret bullet of mine, has been able to utilize a snagging service, or a service that will basically go out and search for domain names that might contain the word social media in it, because I want to use that for SEO purposes that might be valuable to me in the future on a domain name that I want to purchase. But I want to look at domain names that are maybe expiring, because there's domain names that expire every single day, and maybe I want to grab an individual domain name. So I can utilize individual grabbing services like Pool, GoDaddy. There's lots of individual grabbing services that will actually go out and grab a domain name for you, and will allow you to basically grab that the second that it comes available. It will try to go out and snag it before somebody basically goes out and grabs that domain name. Now, it's going to cost you more than it would normally if you were trying to go out and grab it yourself, but oftentimes you can be successful in going out and taking a domain name and you can get it. And it might cost you as much as $60 for a domain name versus like $12 or $15, or if you have a coupon, maybe $8 or $9 to get a domain name. But oftentimes you can basically grab it without having to hover over your keyboard, or grab it before somebody else grabs it. A lot of the domain names will become available oftentimes around 11:30 Pacific time. So if you're looking at grabbing a domain name early in the morning Pacific time is when they become available for a lot of people. So if you're looking at domain names, that's a really popular time frame to start looking for domain names if it basically is coming available. And again, there's lots of different websites. And again, one of my more popular ones that I've used is Pool. I actually get it sent to me in email, and I look at it on a daily basis. So it will basically tell me what are the domain names that are coming up here shortly. So it'll tell me how do I social media, and you see all these different options like socialrumors.net, socialicu.com. All these are domain names that are coming available in the next few days, and so I can prepare. So if I want the domain name Social Media War, I can basically go in and can use a domain name grabber, either like through GoDaddy or one of the other domain name grabbers. And it can basically utilize a buying service or a backorder service to try to go out and grab that domain name as soon as it becomes available. And again, you might have multiple people that are trying to grab that domain name at the same time. So even though you try to grab that domain name, the way those grabbing services work is that even though you might not get that domain name, you can basically utilize that grabbing money that you try to grab that domain name, and you can apply that to another domain name that you wanted. So you're not really out any money, but they won't really send the money back to you. You'll have to go out and basically utilize that money that you spent for that domain name to go out and try to get another domain name. The other downfall to another grabbing service is, depending upon where you get it from, is they might park that domain name somewhere else for you. So they might park it at another registrar. So if I don't go through GoDaddy and I use another grabbing service, they might park it somewhere else. I don't have a choice of parking it. If I have all my domain names at GoDaddy, they aren't going to park it at GoDaddy for me if I purchase it through another grabbing service. And they might park it somewhere else. And then I can't, once I buy it, I can't transfer it generally between 60 to 90 days. And then if I am going to transfer it, I'm going to have to pay to host it at GoDaddy for a year. So I'm going to have to repay the, anywhere between $8 to $12. Plus I'm going to have to pay a transfer fee of $25 between $12 and $25 to transfer that from that other domain. So it's going to be a little bit spendy to transfer from that other registrar to that registrar, which is my common registrar where all my other domains are housed. So again, you want to be thinking about those things if you're going to be using grabbing services. But if I really want a domain name, you can get some really popular domain names that are coming available to you that you've got, where you physically wouldn't be able to get those in any other way unless you try to utilize a grabbing service before. Once you end up getting an individual domain name that you've got from your side, I'm logged in here, let's say to my account right now, and if I go to like domains, in here, this is what they look like. Like I have in here like domain names. I have like Social Storm, Like It Social, Social Your Life, Like Logic, My Social Photography. These are basically just individual domain names that I've just picked up because I've liked them, and I thought, okay, well maybe I'll just resell them later that I've got from my side, or I'll utilize them for some project in the future that I've got. And you can see where they're basically coming up due for registration. So I've got to do something. I can either re-up with them, but they cost me generally between $8 to house them for a year to decide do I want to do a project with them or not that I've got from my side. And I can basically forward these individual domain names to another project. I can host and put up a page for them. I can use them for backlinking, where I can actually put up content on them and actually link them to a common site to use them for greater search engine positioning. So there's a lot of interesting and great things that you can do at a very low cost by being able to create and buy your own individual domain names that you can get, again, through many different types of site, and GoDaddy just, again, happens to be one of them that you've got. If I go ahead and launch an individual domain name, let's say I launch this one here that's likeitsocial.com. If I go ahead and launch this, and I come into here, there's a few different options, and let's say I just wanted to forward this to a individual, to another domain name or another URL, or anywhere else on the internet. All I had to do was basically come in here, click the manage button, and basically type in the URL. So it's very easy to use. A lot of these interfaces are. You don't have to let all these different things scare you from a lot of the different things that are on here. A lot of the support systems, like from companies like GoDaddy, are more than happy to explain a lot of things that are in here. The different things that you can do. You can protect your accounts. You can lock a lot of these things up that you've got from your overall accounts. You can actually send this to other servers where you can actually point and have them hosted in different locations. Again, you can take the registrar information on who actually is the owner of this domain name. You can actually be shown as the owner, or you can actually assign a proxy, which is basically a hidden name, so it doesn't show you as the owner. If you buy a domain name and you don't want to be seen as the owner, you can actually buy a proxy, which is someone who sits in front of you as the owner, and you can actually buy that through GoDaddy if you wish. That will cost you a little bit per year that you've got. So there's a lot of different options with the overall domain name, but the intent, again, is to house your overall website. It's to be able to create and to be able to be the individual indicator for your URL, for your emails. Now your emails, if I go ahead and I point this individual domain name to a server, I can basically take individual emails, and I can take emails and can assign emails to this individual domain name. I can also buy individual separate packages. Like if I wanted to buy separate packages of emails and I didn't want to even buy another server, I can just buy even separate emails through GoDaddy, even without having this domain name up and a web page up. I can just send email through it if I wished, and I could buy just an individual email account, and I could house it up if I wanted to. So there's a lot of really great things that I can do with having a domain name, but I can't have email without a domain name. I can't have a website without a domain name. And it all centralizes with first owning and being able to purchase that domain name. But it doesn't have to be scary, and it's very important to be able to take that very first step on being able to do it. So I hope you're able to take something from being able to look at an interface on how you're able to go in and purchase individual domain names. Hope this webinar was useful to you. And again, we're going to go ahead and take it to Q&A now, and I hope this webinar was useful to you. Let me go ahead and save the webinar. Hold on for a second here. Thank you.